Hey guys, Kathy Beal of EmpowermentUnlimited.net here with a quick look at Stephen Colbert and The Late Show's cancellation. And we're going to start with a look at his chart, but overview, he's going to come out so much better as a result of this. Okay, everybody? So let's just start with a quick look at his chart. You see, he has a lot in the sign of Taurus. He is a very grounded person, actually. I don't have a birth time, so I've made a solar chart with his sun on the ascendant, but notice that Mercury, how he communicates, Mars, how he pushes his action forward, and amplifying Jupiter and also making money from that all together really, really nicely. And these are in communication with a number of points in his chart. First off, they're in a sextile, which is opening a window to his Venus and North Node, way of the future, what his path is, in the second house of earning capacity, talents, abilities. He connects with people like crazy. That's one of his gifts as an interviewer. There's a tenderness and a compassion underneath what he does. Also, Venus in her money house in Cancer, which is really about money. This amplifies his ability to actually capitalize off his talents. And I believe his salary currently is in the ball. What I read was 15 million a year. I'm sure somebody will correct me if that is incorrect. This little lineup is also similarly in a sextile to his Saturn in Pisces, Saturn in the 10th house at the top of the chart, again, a solar chart, but it has meaning. A leader in a with a wide-ranging impact. Pisces can be the broadcast arts, it can be illusion, the film world, TV. So this is part of this partly explains why he has been so successful, and also that Saturn is in trine, an unbroken flow to his North Node, what he's supposed to do with Venus involved. Interestingly, he identifies himself quite openly on his show as a husband. His wife Evie is frequently a guest, and he does refer to his kids. So he is clearly and openly a family man in all of this. This going back to Taurus, this little Taurus cluster of Mercury, Mars, and Jupiter, it is trining, again, unbroken flow, his Uranus in the fourth house. Now, this gets kind of interesting. So, even though he's got this really staid, grounded, firm, you can't push me off dead center Taurian energy, he also has the ability to see things differently, to do things differently. And there's something about his coming across as so middle of the road. I mean, the man he professes his faith. He's been known to teach courses at his church. He's Catholic. Um, but there's also from that, he can shake things up. He can make things happen. And what is fascinating about that Uranus, and this will make it easier for you to see, Uranus is widely conjunct, but I'm going to count it as a conjunction. Pluto in both in Virgo and Uranus, the Uranus-Pluto conjunction occurs in the charts of people born in the mid to late 60s, and it is a marker of being change agents. Uranus is the agent of radical, unexpected, shocking, unconventional change, often unforeseen, and Pluto is the agent of revolutionary, evolutionary change. And these two together are in the charts of people whose mission is to do something differently in the world, to change things. And Colbert took the approach. of moving from being a political commentator on The Daily Show to assuming the persona of a right-wing pundit for a number of years on a show called The Colbert Report, so well that many people thought he was right-wing, and that is part of the playing out of this conjunction. The other thing I want to mention is his moon in Gemini. Now, we don't know the exact degree of it because we don't have a time of birth, but it was smack in the middle of the sign at noon. So from right after midnight to right before midnight, it was going to be in the middle regions of Gemini, and this adds to flexibility. It's in a square with that Uranus Pluto conjunction. So there's something here that's demanding, doing something meaningful, doing something with a purpose. There's been a target and a reason for his satire. It's not just, well, a lot of it is just silly, but there's a point to an awful lot of it, especially as he moved more and more and more into the political realm. And his monologues are absolutely biting. The Gemini in uh, the Gemini moon would give some add to flexibility, the ability to change positions, to multitask, to do many things, to write and perform, but probably many other things as well. He's a pretty good singer, but this would give the ability to pivot, to change. Apparently, he did adapt politically. Read his Wikipedia page. He's gone through quite the journey of being a Reagan supporter to now being progressive, well, believed to be fairly left of center. He definitely has extraordinarily compassionate political beliefs, which puts him in the progressive camp. Also, I will point out that this moon is on Donald Trump's Uranus, so they get under each other's skin. Um, I think that's all. Hold on. So let's look now, hang on a second, at when the episode was broadcast with the cancellation news. Now, he found out about it the night before. It's kind of hard to figure out the timeline here, and he announced this to the studio audience at a taping, and I don't know what time that announcement was made because the Thursday tapings, which is when this was done, have often in the past taped two shows. They've taped the Friday show so that they're not actually in there on Friday. And if this happened afterwards, who knows? So I put the time as when the episode started, and I don't know exactly where in the broadcast the cancellation announcement was made, if it happened before the monologue, after the monologue, but it was within a few minutes of the show start at 11:35, and there's a bunch of really interesting stuff going on here. First off, there is something very combative, very fighterish about this announcement. The moon is in Aries, which is I'm going to kick your teeth in. That's I'm going to go fight for something. It is conjunct Chiron. It's right there with a massive, massive wound. And it's right there with Eris, which is the goddess of discord, which is I'm going to just confront this head on and we're going to go for it. The cancellation happened, coincidence or not, within a couple of days of his calling um, Paramount's a piece of the what Paramount is doing to get the right to acquire or be acquired by. There's a merger between Paramount and a company called Sundance. I guess Sundance is the supposed acquiring company. And he called it a big fat bribe on camera. And a couple days later, it's announced that his show was not going to be renewed at the end of its term. And there's all this talk about it being for financial reasons, which may or may not be the case. And that's actually not important from the point of view of the impact that this is happening. Also, for those of you who pay attention to degrees, the ascendant when the show started was the degree of the solar eclipse that happened at the end of March this year. So it is possible that the question of what to do with this show, which apparently is extraordinarily expensive, also the highest ranking late night show, there so something about what to do with this could have been in the works all this time. Um, Other things that I want to draw your attention to. So Saturn and Neptune are moving, they're traveling together. They're at the early degrees of Aries, the first part of the zodiac. I have heard Saturn and Neptune, I've mentioned this before. Celeste Brooks talks about the deconstructing the architecture of deceit. But there are so many nuances in what this conjunction could mean because it's putting structure on creativity, putting structure on illusion, or possibly stifling it. And this happened right after Uranus, planet of innovation, moved Gemini, sign of communication, and these guys are in a sextile, which is a window of opportunity. So there's a window here to suddenly contain and stop this creativity. Interestingly, the Saturn Neptune conjunction is also in a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto in the sign of technology, out there in the sign of collective, and Pluto and Uranus are also in an unbroken flow, so that could be really sudden termination of something that is a fixture in the community. The show is 9 years long. Again, the highest rated late night show. Um, and it has a cult following, actually. Uh, those of you in the States who this show helped get us through COVID because at one point, as soon as everything got shut down, Colbert broadcast from his bathtub at one point in his suit, and he broadcast a lot from his home, and then he broadcast from his desk in his office in Manhattan. And there was a real strong connecting as humans that happened with it, and the whole nature of the show, the whole tone of the show changed after that point. Also worth noting, Venus, which rules groups of people, women, the masses. Well, maybe not the masses, but it's in Gemini, so there's all this talk, squaring Mars in Virgo. Um, there is something really propelling or propulsive from this announcement. This isn't just, oh, okay, it's going to die, blam. There's something seated in this moment of, and something's going to happen from this. And it's not going to be a quiet thing because Venus in Gemini is in the house of communication. And in fact, social media kind of went crazy, incredibly crazy afterwards. And he didn't need his team didn't need to do any kind of publicity. It's been discussed in the financial news, in the mainstream media, and social media has been just littered with love for this man and this show. Clips, favorite moments, testimonies to people meeting him in public and how decent he is. I have actually never come across anybody with a bad word about this man. I mean, they must exist, but he really does make an effort to be an absolute decent human being. So when this announcement, the timing of this announcement just propelled things like crazy to put him in everybody's news. Now, notice that Mars planet of action, planet of cleaning up, is closing in on the south node, which is the old way of doing things. So there's an element of release, of attacking something from the past, and fascinatingly, whatever this means, the south node currently is on the U.S. Neptune. Neptune in the U.S. chart is at 21 degrees, 22 degrees, uh, maybe 22, Virgo in the ninth house, which is laws, regulation, broadcasting. So there could be more coming out about this as Mars moves across the south node, which is happening really, really soon. The nodes are also, just because I think that he's a background role in this, the nodes are squaring Trump's Sun Moon opposition and his own nodes, making something called a T square, which is a real crossroads moment. It's also a moment of being pulled in multiple directions and not being able to move clearly. There are whisperings about the fact that the head of the acquiring company met with the head of the FCC a couple of days before this announcement, and suspicions about the continuation of this show being a factor in whether the merger is going to be approved. Just whispers, I don't know. So, this is the staying power. Well, maybe not. Yeah, there is staying power to this because Neptune and uh, Saturn are both retrograde and they're going to come back to this position. Also, Mercury at 50. Oh, I didn't even mention that. Let's just point that out so you can see it. Mercury, which deals with communication in the sign of creativity and fun and star and celebrity. Mercury is sextile Venus in Gemini, so that opens a doorway to talk, 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 talk. Mercury is at the degree of his retrograde station. He actually stationed retrograde officially the next day. So that 15-degree Leo is going to be a big, big deal, and there could be more information that comes out after Mercury finishes his retrograde at the beginning of or middle August, and then finally clears that degree. So that's a real strong more to the story or rest of the story moment that is probable with this. So I think that the prospects here are only beneficial for Stephen Colbert. Um, for one thing, in August, my August forecast will be up later in the week. In August, we have a dance of the outer planets, that being Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. They'll be interacting in a way that invites brainstorming and coming up with new platforms, new information distribution systems. So Colbert's being jettisoned right when a lot of innovation is about to happen. He immediately got an invitation from Midas Touch Network. I'll be very surprised if that's what he takes, but I do see it probable that he will do something really, really different. And here is why. This is when, oh, hold on a second. I've jumped ahead. Let's just look briefly at what the cancellation news meant for him. Okay, so sorry. Venus. So backing up here, Venus is conjunct his moon, and that explains all these people just taking it upon themselves to spread their messages and to talk and say what they think and spread the love, spread the love, spread the love, spread the love all over the place. I did mention that that Saturn and Neptune in the sky are squaring his Venus and North Node in the second house. So Saturn and Neptune in the 11th house of dreams and wishes, but also organizations, maybe even corporations, uh, pushing for action, pushing for movement on his money planet and his path of destiny. And this is also in a really uncomfortable relationship to his Taurus. So there's something that's happened that he really can't just shake, put under the rug and ignore. There's something that's saying, it's like what people used to in old movies. They do something called a hot foot, where they like light a match and stick it in the back of somebody's shoe until they finally found it. This is a hot foot for him. He can't ignore it, and I am betting that he isn't ignoring it, and it's going to propel him to do something to push him further on his path of destiny to the next level of what he came in here to do. The other thing in this I want to point out is that Pluto up here in the ninth house of broadcasting, but also regulation. So the FCC would be up there. Pluto is in an exacting conjunct to his money planet. Pluto and Venus are both money planets. Pluto is really big money, really big power, huge machinations. Venus is, just down here on the ground level money. So there's something here requiring an adjustment in how he earns his living. Okay, so that's right on track. And that Pluto is also trining unbroken flow, the other change agent, Uranus, in his first house of identity and appearance. So this is just change in what his role in broadcasting is, unfettered change, unimpeded change, next level evolution with a really sudden Uranus piece to it. So, continuing with where I was heading, this is his chart with the date of Saturn and Neptune's exact conjunction in February of next year. So, they are exactly conjunct in his solar 11th house of organizations, corporations, his role in a collective, also dreams and wishes, and they're once again squaring his uh, money planets and his path, the way he's supposed to go. At that point, Pluto is in an exact inconjunct to his North Node. At the announcement time, it was in an exact inconjunct to his money planet. So forcing a change in how he goes about things, then forcing a change in his path. I'm gonna suggest that by the time this conjunction is exact at the end of February, we may not know what he's up to next, but I'm betting he will have it in place at that point. Um, Notice, so here's and it's going to be big because notice that his that transiting Mars is right on his solar midheaven. So Mars in the sky, like how to get something going. There could be a collective, a network, a something, a man pushing for what he would do. It could be him pushing for a very new, radical, and different way of what his career is, what it is supposed to be, what it is going to be, and Mars will be exactly squaring his sun when it does that. His sun's 22 Taurus, uh, Mars on top of his midheaven and squaring his sun is move already, change already, evolve already. Now is the moment. And who knows what it'll be. I don't know if there is a man. I have again, check me on this. I have read that David Letterman's company, Worldwide Pants, is the actual owner of The Late Show. I don't know if that means Letterman is going to play a role in what Colbert does next, but I he may be doing this on his own. He may be creating a platform on his own. He may be doing this with other people, with him being in a leadership position. That's Saturn up there in the 11th house of organizations. And interestingly, Saturn, let's talk about where Saturn is and what it is doing. Saturn in Aries. okay, is now coming full circle to where it was from 96 to 97, early 96 to, I'm sorry, early 96 to 99. And after we have this fusion with Neptune and Saturn moves on, it's going to start heading for the area of the sky that it was in when Colbert joined The Daily Show, which he did in 97. And that is when he went from comic slash comedian slash actor to political commentator. So that's coming full circle. Maybe the next phase moves into something else or moves it into a different way of expression. Bottom line with all of this is, oh, wait a minute, just notice one more thing. Just have to humor me. That is that Venus in the sky in February next year is going to be opposite his Pluto. So, uh, creativity and huge issues of money, coming up with new structures, dealing with the power uh, system in that being a factor. Maybe there's something with getting funding or looking down, trying to find where the actual support is going to be. But all of this is pointing to a next dramatic phase, not retirement, not pulling back, going further and further, becoming even more prominent. So, pretty exciting to see what you could go to after being the most successful late night show host for years on end. So, as irritating as it is to some of us that this happened, it fits in the ongoing scheme of the previous way of doing things being absolutely shaken up, and it bodes very, very well for what the next stage of his creative output is going to be. We may not see it early in February. His contract is through May of 2026, but who knows? Maybe with while Pluto is sitting at 4 in conjunct his 4-degree Cancer North Node, maybe at some point during that transit it ends early. No telling. Absolutely no telling. Also, oh, one more thing, I will point out that he can't just sit. He has to evolve because that Pluto is also directly squaring his Mars in Taurus. So this is setting an engine into motion that is unstoppable, and it's heading for turf that he has not been on before. And I think it will be extraordinarily exciting. And I wish him absolutely nothing but the best fortune in all of this. And I hope it is an even better and less rocky adventure than the hobbits leaving the Shire. Thanks for watching.